Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Please put your palms together to partake in the offerings to the Buddha. The offering of the 5 items allows us to express our gratitude to the Buddha and serves as a symbol to help us remember the teachings. Please join wholeheartedly and read the verses together. Offering of light. Light symbolizes wisdom. May the light of Dhamma dispel the darkness of ignorance. Offering of incense. Incense symbolizes the fragrance of pure moral conduct. This reminds us to cultivate good conduct. Offering of water. Water symbolizes purity, clarity, and calmness. It reminds us to practice the Buddha's teachings, to cleanse one's mind, which is full of desires, ill will, and delusion, to attain the state of purity. Offering of fruits. Fruits symbolize the ultimate fruit of enlightenment, which is our goal. They also remind us that all actions will have their effects. Offering of flowers. Flowers symbolize impermanence. The freshness, fragrance, and beauty of flowers are impermanent. This reminds us that we should all live in the present. Remembering thus, we should reduce our craving and attachment. Let us pay homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammam saranang gacchami, Sangham saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Buddha saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammam saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sangham saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranang gacchami. We chant these verses to observe the 5 precepts. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami. Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami. Kamesu Miccācara Veramani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Suramiraya Macchapama Tatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagava araham samma sambuddho vijacharana sampano sukhato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati satta deva manusanam Buddho Bhagavati. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Dhamma. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Santitiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanaiko Pajatam Veditapo Vinyohiti. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Sangha. Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Uchupatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Nyaya Patipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samichi Patipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yaditam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahoneyo Pahoneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttaram Punya Kedam Lokasati. Today, we are very lucky to have Dr. Ng Wai Chong, who will be leading us on Meditation Sunday. And today's topic is on the Brahmavihara Metta. So let me give you a short biography of Dr. Ng Wai Chong. Dr. Ng is a medical director of a local non-profit organization that is involved in aged care and aging issues. He has been an active volunteer with the NUS Medical Dhamma Circle since 1988 and was the immediate past committee member of Cakravala Meditation Center. He studies the Dhamma and meditation under Sayalay Dipankara, a disciple of Venerable 𝐂𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐴. He participates in meditation retreats in Singapore, Malaysia, and Myanmar almost every year since 1999. In the year of 2006, he spent nearly 5 months in Brahmavihara, a meditation center in Memyo, Myanmar. In the past few years, he has been invited to deliver lectures at Singapore Buddhist Federation Dhamma Class, the Buddhist Fellowship, Gongming-san 𝐂𝐶𝐧𝐠, Buddha Light International Association, Wat Ananda, the Buddhist Library, and a few other Buddhist organizations in Singapore. Let's welcome Dr. Ng.
some PowerPoint. We'll do a short meditation first, and then I'll share some theories around the practice of metta, and then we will spend most of our time practicing metta. Okay. So let us sit upright. And close our eyes. You can clasp your hands together, or you can place them on your laps. And then for your legs, you can place it one in front of the other, or one on top of the other, whichever is more comfortable. Okay, so for the next 10 minutes or so, let us commit to the practice of mindfulness, putting aside the thoughts we have about the future and the past. Just put them down, and with the mind fully respectful of the Triple Gem, let us connect with the Buddha through our practice. Let us begin by feeling our bodies, starting from the top of the head. Let the mind contact with the skin, the scalp, the muscles on our skull. Feel the raw sensation, and perhaps the mindfulness is so keen that we can feel the tension, and we can focus a little bit more on the flowing sensation on the skin and the muscles and the skull, so that the muscles seems to be flowing and relaxing themselves, flowing down from the top of the head to our forehead, releasing all the tension, especially between the eyebrows, around the eyes, at our temples, the back of our head, feeling the raw texture, the tone, the warmth of our skin and the muscles and even the bone. If the mind is strong, we can even feel the hardness of the bone. Just focus on the flowing of the muscles around the face, around the mouth, down to our jaws. Feel the muscles at our neck, propping the head up, relaxing itself into a most comfortable, slightly curved position of the neck. Staying alert in order to pay respect to the Triple Gem. But for the rest of the muscles, let them flow. Down the shoulders, feel the muscles releasing their grip on the shoulders. Let them flow down the arms on both sides of the body, allowing the weight of the arms freedom to gravitate downwards. Feeling the muscles flowing down to the elbows, to the arms and the wrists and the hands, loosening their grip, flowing as if dripping off the fingertips. And at our chest, feel the muscles really, really relaxed, such that the lungs is free to be itself, rising and falling by the force of nature, without controlling, without participating, without judging. Feeling all the muscles around the chest, relaxing, letting go and flowing down to the abdomen. And in the abdomen, all the visceral organs resting and stacking one on top of the other, like cushions in a cabinet, resting, comfortable, gravitating to the base of the abdomen, where the center of the gravity lies. Feel the muscles relaxing and flowing down to the buttocks, the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles and the feet, almost falling off the bones, almost flowing to the floor, almost exposing the skeleton. If you can catch a glimpse of the skeleton, realize that all of us are merely skeletons clothed in muscles and skin before the clothing and the ornaments and the styles and so on. Just skeletons seated. We are all the same. We are bound together by our faith in the Triple Gem. For this is the path to be with the Triple Gem. The skeleton rested. If you like the vision of the skeleton, you can stay with the skeleton respectfully, with unconditional acceptance, contentment, visualizing every nooks and crannies on the skull, the eye socket, the teeth, the neck bones, the rib cage, the bones in the arms, the backbone, and all the legs. Observing them with curiosity, like a child, respectfully, as if the skeleton is the direct communication from the Buddha. With contentment, for with a mind so wholesomely occupied, we don't need anything else. With clarity, for all are the same. Skeleton, skeleton. Or you may like the breath more, and you can pay attention on the breath in front of the nostrils. In-breath, out-breath. As simple as plain water, but completely delicious, because it's so plain. In-breath and out-breath. For every breath is like a teacher, like a conduit to the Triple Gem. Holding the mind full of respect and humility, curiosity, acceptance, contentment, observing the breath continuously. If the breath becomes all-consuming, let it be. It doesn't matter about the body, the past or the future. Let the mind communicate with the breath directly. Just the breath and the mind and the breath. Silence, wordless, respectful, kind, clear, acceptance, lightness, balanced. Let the mind connect with the breath directly, without any middleman of the body. Allow the mind to be calm and composed. And gently, we may open our eyes at our own time. So today, the topic is on the 4 Brahmavihara, but we are doing it over 4 months. We are focusing on Metta today, but I'll just give a very brief theoretical discussion around it, and after that we will plunge into the practice. So just very few slides. So in 4 Brahmavihara, there are 4 meditation objects. Yeah, so what is this meditation object all about? Meditation, generally we refer to, when we talk about meditation, in Buddhist context, we generally refer to either samatha or vipassana. Both of these require mindfulness, right? So samatha and vipassana are found in the 4 foundations of mindfulness anyway. Okay, so in samatha meditation, there are 40 objects. So all these 40 objects are catered to different personalities. You know, some of us prefer skeleton. Maybe some of you here are health sciences students, nurses, doctors. You know, to you, skeleton is very fascinating. You know, to some of us, we find breath is very easy because it's very easy to feel the breath. But some people, you know, finding breath is a bit boring. They prefer something more dynamic, like feeling the sensation of the body, and then feeling, investigating the sensation. So there are 40 types of meditation objects suitable for different kinds of personality. But what is this meditation object? It is only, maybe I can use the terms used by Mahayana, okay, skillful means. Okay? It's just an object, convenient object for your mind to be occupied in a wholesome way. If the mind is not occupied in a wholesome way, it will be occupied in unwholesome ways. Because the mind always needs to be occupied. Okay? So you occupy the mind with something that is prescribed by the Buddha, then it occupies itself in a wholesome way. With the object, in order to stay continuously, you will learn that your mind needs to be wholesome. Needs to be wholesome continuously, then you can have the object there continuously. If your mind has greed, aversion, delusion, and so on, you find that it's very difficult to stay focused. So as you practice, like riding the bicycle, then you get the hang of it, like you know how to balance when you're too energetic, there's a lot of aversion mind. When you're too relaxed, there's a lot of wandering thoughts, and then start to have greed-associated minds or restless minds and so on. So we practice, and gradually when the mind is balanced, it becomes very, very wholesome. Then you observe on the object, and the object is usually something from day to day, like water, fire, wind. I've already covered in last few months. So these are day-to-day things. So even metta is a very day-to-day object. Okay. So with something very day-to-day, let the mind hold the object mindfully, and then when it is mindful, it's very wholesome. Continuous wholesome mind is very powerful. Okay. So what is the object of the mind in the 4 Brahmaviharas? It's actually beings, okay? Like a child, or a kitten, or a dog, or a deva, or our parents, our friends, so beings. It can be a single being or many, okay? So perhaps you can, you watch some news clips, you see a lot of people, whatever they're doing, maybe attending a function where President Halimah Yacob is attending, then you can see the picture, then you can use that picture and then send loving kindness. Or you can have a person, like maybe your friend is sick in the hospital, and then you heard that if loving kindness is very strong, it can change the heart of a person. When the heart is changed, it will change the fate of a person. Yeah. So that's what my teacher taught. In front of the Buddha, you will feel the metta of the Buddha, and your mind will be gripped by the strength of the light of the Buddha's metta. It is very different when you hear the Dhamma taught from the Buddha than from someone like me, Okay, so you don't feel it. So, but when the Buddha is in front of you, he sends loving kindness because there's so much samadhi. Your mind will be compelled to just be calm and absorbed. And then whatever he says, you can almost see it in your mind unfolding. I don't know this as a fact, but I believe when you hear of stories in the suttas where the disciples listen to the Buddha and they become enlightened, and yet we have listened to Dhamma so many times and yet we're not enlightened. What is the difference? The difference is face to face, not Zoom, not through books, okay? So in front of the Buddha, your mind is so full of faith, almost in tears, and then when you close your eyes, it's very bright, and your mind cannot have wandering thoughts because the Buddha's metta is very strong, and he tells you, sister, the tears you've teared is more than all the water in the oceans combined. Be mindful. And that's how Kisa Gotami and Patachara, they could become enlightened. Because in front of the Buddha, it's different. So the power of metta with concentration is strong. Devas have got very strong concentration. So I also believe, okay, how can devas affect human beings? 观世音菩萨, Pu Xian Pusa, they must have been sending loving kindness or compassion. And then when they do that, and they've got very strong, powerful concentration. And the Brahmas also, not just the devas, our mind will change from anger mind. Anger mind includes grieving and anxiety and fear, okay? So from unwholesome mind, with metta, our mind becomes wholesome. When the mind becomes wholesome, no problems cannot be solved. When there's no fear for death, what is there to be afraid of? So I believe that's how the devas help us. And because of that, I believe if we have very strong samadhi, our loving kindness can influence others. So the object are beings. Okay, so this is a lot of words. It will be very difficult for you to listen to me and read at the same time. So I'll just read it off the screen. It's from the Nikaya. This is from Digha Nikaya 13, but you can find it everywhere in the Nikayas, and in many places. So I'll just read the first paragraph because that is related to metta. Here, monks, a disciple dwells pervading one direction with his heart filled with loving kindness. Likewise, the second, the third, and the fourth direction, so above, below, and around. He dwells pervading the entire world everywhere and equally, with his heart filled with loving kindness, abundant, grown great, measureless, free from enmity, and free from distress. So all the words here are very important, but I will elaborate it further. So the first paragraph is how you practice metta. Second paragraph is how you practice compassion. Third paragraph is how you practice sympathetic joy. And the last paragraph is how you practice equanimity. And the objects are beings. So the four Brahmaviharas, Brahmavihara means the dwelling places of Brahmas. Brahmas are very, very high beings. We don't call them devas. Devas they still have got body, they got appearance. If you got very, very deep concentration, some people can even visualize them faintly. Okay? But Brahmas are different. Okay? They are not in this realm of devas and humans and animals and ghosts and so on. They are higher. They are always in deep samadhi. Their mind is very, very pure. Okay? Some of them are always sending loving kindness to human realms. Some are sending compassion to human realms. First jhana Brahma, second jhana Brahma, third jhana Brahma. How do they look like? Okay, don't ask me. Okay, so, but if you have very, very deep concentration, sometimes you can feel it, maybe like cosmic rays. Okay, so the four Brahmaviharas is also practiced as is a dwelling place of Brahma, but it's also known as the immeasurables. Okay, is it Viharati? I can't remember the Pali term. Immeasurables. So immeasurables means when you're practicing deeply, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity is boundless in all directions. Okay, all beings equally boundless. So that is four Brahmavihara. The application of the four Brahmavihara, you can use it for self-care, loving kindness to ourselves, compassion to ourselves, celebrating happiness in ourselves, and being equanimous with ourselves. Okay, so that's self-care. It can also give you a sense of purpose. Particularly, sometimes when we of course when we do work, we care for our families and so on. Okay, very, very busy, but you reflect on it. I want to do this because I cannot rest if others are suffering. Okay, so this compassion can give you the drive to do a lot of things that are very difficult to do. Okay, so compassion can be a source of sense of purpose, source of joy. The emotions of the Arahant, this one I did not read it from the Nikayas. I heard it from a teacher that I respect a lot, Venerable U Mangala. It was a retreat that was conducted in Shuanglinsi many years ago. So he was giving a talk from Brahmaviharas. He says the four Brahmaviharas are the emotions of the Arahants. Because the Arahants are fully enlightened. All beings to them are just five aggregates, dependent on origination. But are they like rocks and stones and wood? No. Their emotions are all metta, karuna, mudita, and equanimity. Okay, so that's the emotion of the Arahant, metta, karuna. So there's once I asked my teacher, I asked Pa Aw Siador, okay, that if Sariputta and the Buddha and Moggallana, they see all beings as five aggregates arising and passing away all the time, then why are they teaching at all? And the Buddha talked about these enlightened beings, they're driven by their past conditions of compassion. So they continue to teach. So that is the emotions of the Arahant. Stability in the face of successes and failures and the otherworldly winds, self and others. This is applicable to equanimity practice. Okay, when you practice equanimity, equanimity has a lot of wisdom. Okay, so it helps us overcome the 8 worldly winds. Pain and pleasure, fame and disrepute, gain and loss, and praise and blames. Okay, so all of us are driven, either pushed or pulled by these 8 worldly winds. But with equanimity, we can remain stable. Okay, it supports other meditation. As I mentioned just now, meditation is really how you position the mind. Then whatever object, it depends on your personality type. Also, what kind of qualities you like to cultivate more. But the main thing is the mind. Okay? In order to practice easily, the mind needs to be wholesome, need to be happy. Happiness is the proximate cause for concentration, okay, for samadhi. So, but how do you keep the mind happy? Happiness, there are many ways. It can be associated with greed. It can be associated with conceit. It can also be associated with non-greed, non-conceit, very wholesome mind. Among these 3, all are useful for samadhi. But the first 2 has got unwholesome karma. Okay? I mean, we are not immune to it. As long as we are not an anagami, we are not immune to all this. We can make use of it, but we need to know that these first 2 are not the wholesome type of happiness. The third is a wholesome type of happiness. The more, the better. And meditation on loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy can bring up wholesome happiness and joy. Okay, easily. So usually, like just now, I did that. Okay, if today I'm talking a different topic, like if I'm doing anapanasati or 4 elements meditation, I'll do loving kindness as a preliminary. Then we'll go on to the others. So that is how we make use of loving kindness before our practice of other kinds of meditation. The 4 Brahmaviharas are themselves samatha practice. They can lead all the way to very deep samadhi, all the way to the 3rd jhana. Metta, Karuna, and Mudita can lead to the 3rd jhana. And after that, when you reflect on all beings are owners of their own karma, you can attain to the 4th jhana of equanimity. So 4th jhana, equanimity only 4th jhana. The first 3 only 3rd jhana. So, I mean, we talk about jhana like anything. It's not it's not so easy. But what is more important is samadhi. Okay, samadhi is the foundation for enlightenment, because it's only through samadhi the hindrances that block us seeing things as they really are can be removed, and we can see things as they really are deeply, 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 until we see the 5 aggregates and their causes as impermanent suffering non-self. Okay, so samadhi is the foundation, and all these 4 Brahmavihara can lead you to samadhi. Okay. Explanation on metta. Okay, so metta, we talk about loving kindness, all of us have felt it. To be really, really precise, we may not be able to avoid making use of the teachings from Abhidhamma and the commentary text, because we want to be precise. So how does Abhidhamma and the commentaries explain metta? Metta is based on a universal wholesome emotion called adosa, non-aversion. Non-aversion, okay, so when you are mindful on the breath, is that metta? No, it's just adosa, okay? It's just non-hatred. Metta is when the object is a being, and then you become even more active, prefer their welfare, promotion of welfare. That is metta. But when you're doing, say, mindfulness on the breath, or say on the body, your mind is, there's not metta, but you have adosa. So that is a basic ingredient of the mind. What is adosa? Non-hate. Okay, let's read the instrument. Because these are, finger pointing to the moon. There's a very famous Zen story that the finger is not the moon is the moon. But without the finger, you cannot see the moon. So in the ancient Pali Canon, to describe something such as adosa to meditators, they use the instruments of these four things called characteristics, function, manifestation, and proximate cause. Lakkhana, rasa, padatthana, pachupatthana, padatthana. So lakkhana means characteristics, okay? So the characteristics of metta or adosa is the lack of ferocity, non-opposing, okay? Non-opposing, and then when it grows great, it becomes metta. Metta is promoting the welfare of being. So there's an object of a being, okay? When it doesn't have a being in front of it, it is just non-opposing, lack of ferocity. In the commentary, it has a very beautiful simile. It's like the bright full moon night, the light of the moon shining on all beings without judgment, without criticism, and unconditional. So that is like metta. Rasa, function. The function of this adosa is to remove annoyance or fever. So this fever surely is also a symbolic term. And then when it becomes metta, the function is the preference for beings' welfare. All these are very close. They're just different aspects trying to explain what metta adosa is, like many fingers pointing to the same moon. Manifestation, how does loving kindness appear to the meditator? Or adosa, how does adosa appear to the meditator? That everything is agreeable. It's unconditional acceptance. When it becomes metta, it will remove ill will. Proximate cause, seeing beings as lovable. Okay, so this one is not so easy. Seeing beings as lovable. I remember in a course on Abhidhamma many years ago at Manjushri Secondary School, Sayadaw U Salananda was teaching. Somebody asked, how do I have metta to people I cannot have metta towards? Then he said, in order to have metta, you need to forgive. Okay? In order to forgive, you need to accept. And in order to accept, okay, these last 2 points, I can't remember whether he said it, but maybe it's my own, thinking. But definitely he said, before you can love, you have to forgive. Okay? But if you cannot forgive, how? You need to accept them as they are. If you cannot accept, because you don't understand. So, in order to have metta, we need to forgive. In order to forgive, we need to accept. Before we accept, we need to understand. So, there's a poem from Visuddhimagga. If there's opportunity, I'll read it to you. That ancient teachers train their students, for those who are so stricken with hatred, how you can reflect so that you can find all beings as equally lovable. Okay. The far enemy of metta is hatred, obviously. Okay, it's totally opposite. But the near enemy means it is not metta, but you may not realize that it is not metta. Selfish affection. Okay? Selfish affection, for example, say you are newly coupled boy-girl friends, or very close family members. The metta is mixed with a lot of attachment. The attachment part is this selfish affection. Of course, we can't help it. We are not blaming. Metta means understand, accept, forgive, metta, right? So we understand, we are humans, All of us are very attached to our loved ones. We just know that all this attachment will lead to suffering, okay? But it is the good partner, the loving kindness will lead to welfare. So, this is from myself. Sometimes I see, there are people who are not Buddhist, non-religious, but they can die and go to a good place if they have loving kindness, and it's easily attainable in a family. Say your father or mother, regardless of your religion, your belief, whether you believe law of karma or not, you have loving kindness every day. Okay, so that is like the saving grace, okay, for all people, right? Yeah, so unconditional acceptance, all beings unattached, like a moon shining down equally on all beings, self and others alike. This self and others alike is very important. I'll explain when I talk about the practice in the next few slides. Then after we'll put the practice in, we'll put the theory into practice. Okay, the benefits of metta. If you send metta regularly, because of neuroplasticity, the mind tends towards unconditional acceptance, okay? The mind is not the brain, but the brain and the mind is linked, okay? So neuroplasticity, the brain will wire in a certain way, the chemoreceptors, the chemicals, all will become more conducive towards happiness. You sleep well, you wake up feeling well, you're not likely to have nightmares, humans will find you dear, even animals and celestial beings feel drawn to you, deities will protect you, fires, poisons and weapons will not harm you. I'll share a story on this one. Your mind immediately becomes calm and concentrate easily. Your body relaxes and your face is serene. You die with a clear mind. If not realizing arahantship, you'll be reborn in the Brahma realm. So these are paraphrased from the Buddha's teachings, okay? The 11 benefits of metta. But sometimes it's quite interesting. There was also once I was, sometimes in a retreat, your mind is very strong. I was sitting in Silk Air, from Mandalay flying back to Singapore. I was sitting and practicing metta to people around me. And the mindfulness was strong. And then when I opened my eyes, the people sitting next to me turned to me and smiled. Maybe it's metta or maybe it's just coincidence. Who knows? So, but it's very interesting when you practice. It feels magical, but you cannot prove it scientifically. But you feel it's magical. I would say that just let it be magical for you. Don't have to argue with it. So, Okay, now we talk about practice, then after that we'll just practice, okay? So the practice is like this. You can follow the Nikaya and just do that and then just send. But sometimes you read the Nikaya, the suttas, it may not be very clear how to practice, right? Because meditation is a art, is a skills, it's not a theory, right? So you need somebody to guide you. Of course, our teachers are the best guide, but sometimes you can read ancient scriptures that talk about the practice. So this is from Visuddhimagga, and also found in Patisambhida Magga, which is in the Khuddaka Nikaya. So it's Pali Canon. Pali Canon must be is based on the original teachings, but when it was really compiled, it was during King Asoka's time. That was before the Common Era. So Patisambhida Magga is apparently the path of practice for arahants. Okay, so it was described that when we send loving kindness, you have a being, and then you need to wish free from danger, free from physical suffering, free from mental suffering, and be well and happy. And you need to mean what you say. When you say silently, but you mean it. May this being be free from danger. What does danger mean? Danger means almost fear of death, almost losing the security. All beings are. Fear is the hardest emotion, right? So we really hope that they don't have fear, they don't have any insecurity, so we wish them to be free from danger. Free from physical suffering, like pain and aches and different kinds of physical suffering. Mental suffering, fear, anxiety, depression, grief, loneliness, different kinds of mental suffering. Be well and happy, or sometimes translated as abide oneself peacefully and happily, okay? So be well and happy. So when we practice this 4-way, and each way we really mean it. Free from danger. It's different concepts, okay? Free from danger, free from physical suffering, free from mental suffering, free from be well and happy. And it is really about the cetana. Cetana is the intention. Okay, it's not just, may our beings be happy, just feel very, very warm feeling. That one, not enough karma. There has to be a very conceptualized intention. May this being be free from danger. Okay, so then it's stronger karma. The preliminary practice is ourself. Although in the sutta, the Buddha never described loving kindness to yourself, but the Buddha says he traveled all around the world. He cannot find any beings more dear to us than our own self. So the first object of the loving kindness is to ourselves. So we send to ourselves until we really, really feel it. And this is like the standard, and that's when we send to others. Okay? Sending loving kindness to ourselves, the other important thing is if you don't have happiness in your mind, it's very hard for you to send loving kindness to others. If you don't have the loving kindness to ourselves, it's very hard for us to have loving kindness to others. There are people who find it very difficult to send loving kindness to oneself, and then they send loving kindness to others. I'm sure you know people like that. Sometimes we are also like that. It happens when the mind is not balanced. When the mind is not balanced, we send loving kindness to others. Sometimes it's out of neediness. Okay, the need to be affirmed, the need to be loved, the need to be assured, the need to have some attention from. And so it's like we are very small, others are very big. So this loving kindness is not sustainable. Okay, so we need to love ourselves until we really feel it, then we send to others. But some people really find it difficult. You can send to others first, then to ourselves. Yeah, but when you send to others, it will not be powerful enough until we send to ourselves very strong, then we send to others. Okay? Yeah, but you can send to others first. You really find if you cannot send to yourself. Others, the first prototype is a benefactor or a teacher, because it's easy to reflect on the good, tangible things done by them, like they taught us something, or they gave us something, they benefited us in one way or another, and then we can send loving kindness to them easily. Okay? Then you can send to a dear friend, and then a neutral person or a hostile person, only if you have. Otherwise, don't need to send to an enemy, okay? So just self, benefactor, dear friend, neutral person. Then if there's somebody who a little bit of a problem, then you send to them. You have to make it equal, such that another person, the love you have for others is the same as you have for yourself. The love you have for a neutral person is the same you have for the dear person. The love you have for the enemy is the same as the one you have for the neutral person. And the love you have for the neutral person is the same as one you have for your dear friend, which is the same as the one you have for yourself. So when you can have such loving kindness, when all beings are equally acceptable and lovable to you, that's when you can begin to have excess concentration. The 5 hindrances start to subside. That's excess concentration. And if you continue, the excess concentration will develop into Appana Samadhi, which is first jhana, then second, then the third. Don't worry about jhana, okay? Just have samadhi, okay? Whatever, as long as the hindrances are suppressed, is good. If you want to practice deep jhana, it's better to go for a retreat because you need the momentum of practice. Made equal, there is a very interesting analogy given in the Visuddhimagga. Okay, it was like, the story was like 5 monks. They were in a cave, and then there's a bandit that came in. He wants to kill one of them. He says, I want to kill at least one of you so that I can offer to some deity or something. Then he asks everyone, who shall I kill so that the rest of you can live? So some people may say, kill him. Or some people can say, kill me. But a noble disciple with loving kindness will not be able to name anyone, either others or oneself. The loving kindness we have for ourselves and others are equal. Okay, so that is the unconditional loving kindness taught by the Buddha, and that is a standard of metta that allows us to go deeper into samadhi. Okay, then so for all this, we also practice the free from danger, free from physical suffering, free from mental suffering, be well and happy. Only after you have samadhi, then you can practice to all beings. Okay, without samadhi, you can also practice just for the feeling, which is also very useful, support our practice. But in the classical teaching from the Patisambhita Magga, we send to all sentient beings. Sentient means beings with feelings, all breathing things. I don't know whether you heard of 𝐕𝐝𝐻𝑚𝑒𝑒𝑑𝑖𝐻𝑚𝑒𝑒𝑑𝑖𝐻𝑚𝑒𝑒𝑑𝑖𝐻𝑚 wee song, the metta chant. Sape sape pana, sape puta, sape pugala, sape atabawa pariyatana. Pariyapana. So that is these 5 general beings. Sabe itiyo, which is your females. Sabe manusa, which is your males. Sabe ariya, sabe anariya, sabe deva, sabe purisa, sabe all beings in the woeful plains. Okay? So this is from the Patisambhita Magga. So the first 5 are general. They are all the same. All beings, sentient beings, all breathing things, all creatures, all persons, all of those with personality. When we send loving kindness with deep concentration, we will be able to visualize beings, and then we'll send loving kindness because the object of loving kindness are beings. And then at the beginning, we have concentration on the beings as well as the content of the 4 wishes. Okay? But gradually it is just the beings, and the mind is always imbued with this loving kindness, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 qualities. Each one you go to the depth of your jhana, which is in this case 3rd jhana. Okay? And then plus the 7 specific beings, females, males, noble ones, non-noble ones, worldlings, devas, humans, and beings in woeful plains. So there are 12. Each one you practice the 4 all the way to jhana. So 4 times 12 is 48. After that, you have to go to the 10 direction, all the 48 ways of practice in the north, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, northwest, southeast. Then above and below in the 10 directions and the 4 ways. And so all in all, there are 480 plus 48, so 528. This is the practice described in Patisambhita Magga. So become very, very proficient in loving kindness. Your mind will change. Okay, it's very daunting, but once you have concentration, it becomes quite easy. Okay, so this is the practice before one venture into vipassana practice, because metta is a protector of the mind. Okay, Yeah, so this one I've covered just now. If I continue, we don't have time to practice already. So I've already answered this question, okay? The object is the being, but at the beginning you need to also pay some attention to the words, but after a while you let go of the words, just the being. Okay. Okay, let's practice, okay? We'll just do ourselves, and then a person whom we've benefited from, and then a neutral person, and then we send generally to all beings. Okay. The other important thing about loving kindness is your mind, you really need to feel it, no? You really, really need to feel, really, really love. You need to feel the love. Okay. Don't know how to describe. Okay, I think you probably would know how to do it. Huh? So, okay, let us close our eyes again. Very quickly, feel the body, the whole body. Feel the body relax, and the mind soft and calm. Have a vision of ourselves seated here. Perhaps you can have an image of yourself as if you're checking yourself in a mirror. Or you can, some of us, the vision of ourselves is as if our mind is behind our bodies and above, looking down upon ourselves as if we are like a guardian angel of ourselves, looking down on this man or a woman sitting on a cushion. So, remember Ajahn Brahm's teachings. May the doors of our hearts be always open to ourselves. Visualize ourselves. May I be free from danger. Even as we wish such kind thoughts on ourselves, allow all the cells in the body to accept and embrace this loving kindness. For we deserve every bit of it, because loving kindness taught by the Buddha is unconditional. This is what the Buddha taught. Regardless of where we've been, what we've done, how we've conducted ourselves, even if we were a criminal, may the doors of our hearts be always open to ourselves. Feeling all the love, accepting, embracing every pore of the body. Feeling the love like water, like a cool shower on a hot day. Embracing, experiencing, enjoying the water flowing down our body of loving kindness. May I be free from physical suffering. If perhaps your mind can visualize the organs and the skeleton, let all the body parts accept the love we have for ourselves. Let them be nourished by this universal, unconditional, loving kindness. Every cell in the body deserves all the love there is in this whole universe, from the Brahmas, from the Devas, from other humans, from our parents, from our children, from our friends. We deserve all loving kindness because the Buddha taught so. May I be free from mental suffering, all the fears, the worries, the unhappiness. May I be free from all of them. Allow the loving kindness to penetrate all cells and all mind states. May I be well and happy, take care of myself happily, visualizing ourselves throughout. When the mind is balanced, the vision becomes stable. May I be free from danger. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I be well and happy. Next, bring to mind a person who has benefited us, preferably of the same sex, and preferably somebody who is alive, like a teacher or a friend. Allow the image to arise lightly, nonchalantly, calmly. There's no need to make it very clear. Just the image of a friend or a teacher that comes to our mind. May this good person be free from danger. Free from danger. Feel secure. Be safe. Allow the loving kindness from our hearts flow to the heart of this person, and we may see the face. When they receive the loving kindness, their face brightens up. May this good person be free from physical suffering, like pain, like illness. May this good person be free from mental suffering. May the mind be relaxed, at ease, malleable, comfortable. May this good person be well and happy. Send loving kindness slowly, meaning every word. Feel from the bottom of our hearts softness, kindness. Next, bring up an image of a neutral person, perhaps a stranger we always see at the bus stops, or at the hawker center, or at a workplace. Someone whom we are not particularly friendly with or hostile towards. May this good person be free from danger, having the image stable, allowing the mind to connect. Let the mind communicate with the image of this person. May this good person be free from physical suffering. May this person be free from mental suffering. May this person be well and happy. Let the loving kindness flow to the person slowly but surely. Next, let us visualize all our friends in this shrine hall, as if even with our eyes closed, the light from the mind is enough to illuminate and visualize all our friends seated here. Our minds can be anywhere, at the ceiling looking down, at the front looking at everyone's faces, at the back looking at everyone. Visualize all our friends in this shrine. May all of us, regardless, be free from danger. Be free from physical suffering. Be free from mental suffering. Be well and happy. Allow the mind to penetrate the walls of this hall and shine beyond to the other room, to this whole Yo's building compound, and broader towards the neighborhood in Telok Blangah, people in the bus stations, the hawker centers, the flats, the apartments, regardless of race, religions, sex, rich or poor, young or old. May all people in Telok Blangah be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. And may all of us be well and happy. And let the mind rise even higher, looking down on the whole Singapore, across different towns, different places, at the malls, at the homes, in the trains. May all people on this island, regardless of race, religions, men and women, young or old, rich or poor, may all of us be free from danger, looking down on the whole island like an eagle flying across the sky, looking down on people going about their daily business. Perhaps through the windows we can see them. May all people in Singapore be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, and may all of us be well and happy. And let us rise even higher, observing the region of Southeast Asia, across the seas, the forests, the villages, the towns, and across to the whole of Asia and the whole world. Like we are, like a moon shining down on all humans on earth, regardless of race, religion, nationalities, male or female, rich or poor. May all humans on earth be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, and may all on earth be well and happy. And let this loving kindness in our mind shine like an invisible light throughout the whole universe, above, below, across, in all directions. All beings, beings unseen, like the devas, like the petas, beings in hell, the Brahma realms, animals, humans, all beings in all directions. Allow the mind, filled with loving kindness, expand to the infinite space. May all beings in this whole universe be free from danger. Visualize all beings. Humans, animals are easy to see. Devas and petas, not so easy. But we know they exist. May all beings be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May the mind be measureless, boundless. May all beings be well and happy. Gently bring the mind back to our bodies, Feel the body, the texture, the tone, the warmth, the movement. And feel the mind soft, calm and gentle. Knowing that loving kindness practice is full of good karma. May this karma support our good life and allow us to attain Nibbana. And may we stay mindful for the rest of the day. And at our own time, we can open our eyes. So I hope you can practice this regularly. Every day when you wake up, before you get out of bed, you send loving kindness, okay, to yourself and to others. It's like before we brush our teeth and wash our face, we clean the mind. And before we sleep, send loving kindness quickly, and then we can sleep. Okay. That's all for today. Are there any comments or questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a clarification on the benefit number 11. Yeah. So is loving kindness the only criteria, or the other criteria
For
to go to the
Brahma realm?
Yeah.
Okay. Brahma realm, as long as you can die with first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, you can go to Brahma realm. So loving kindness is a way to attain to first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, or fourth jhana.
Okay, can. Thanks.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you, Doctor, for the talk. It's just a curiosity question. You were talking about meditation object. So suppose I'm a robber or a thief. So my object would be money, gold, silver, and I want to have mindfulness, but it's not the right mindfulness. So what would be the result if I meditate on, say, silver, gold, and my money as a robber?
Yeah.
Can I get samadhi or not?
Yeah. So samadhi, the basis is mindfulness. Okay. So mindfulness necessarily has no greed. Okay. There is a certain law that operates in this universe. We call it psychological law. Okay. When there is mindfulness, there will be no greed. There will be no aversion. There will be hiri and ottappa, which is shame and moral dread. There will also be faith. The mind will be light. It will be very malleable. It will be very truthful and honest. There will be a lot of contentment as well. And it will be very tranquil. It will be very balanced. So when there's mindfulness, your mind is always like that. And when you're continuously mindful, it will gain momentum. And one mental factor known as ekaggata, which is single-statedness of the mind, will become more and more powerful. When you continuously stay mindful, then it becomes dominant, and the mind just becomes continuous on it. So this is samadhi. If you're like thinking of money without greed, you won't have mindfulness. What more samadhi?
but thieves are very mindful. Very mindful of where the things are, where the police are.
Very good question. That's why you have to use the Abhidhamma and commentary text to describe what mindfulness really means. Otherwise, a cat catching a mouse is also very mindful. Yeah. So mindfulness is the mind sinking, not forgetting, always with it, not floating away. Whereas if say you want to catch something, your mind is full of energy, very restless because there's a lot of energy to pounce. It's different. Okay? So mindfulness is very, very peaceful. So it looks like mindfulness. So two beings, one of them is very focused on the money, okay, like wanting to steal. Another one is very focused on the nimitta. Looks the same, right? The behavior is the same. But there's no mindfulness, there is mindfulness. Only a person who can read the mind will tell.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. A question about the who to send to. Can we send to our family members?
For beginners, if you want to practice deeply, it is not recommended because it will arouse a lot of attachment and also sometimes trauma. You know, some families are not always so cozy. They are sometimes, oh, you did not do this for me, you hurt me when I was a child, you know, things like that. Okay, so for beginners, not so useful. So for beginners, it's good to send to somebody who has benefited us, such as a teacher, someone clearly benefiting. After your mind is very stable, then you can send to someone dear, such as a family.
So it's after the teacher
simpler,
or?
Yes, respectable person.
Okay, and the respectable person can be opposite sex also, right?
For beginners, if you're not practicing deeply, it is okay. But if you want to practice deeply, when you practice deeply, you need to put in a lot of effort to stay mindful. And if you have someone of the opposite sex, sometimes some people can have lust. Of course, it's like, how can we have lust? But some people can, okay? So for beginners, it's generally better to have somebody of the same sex. So someone of the same sex, a respectable person, and somebody who is not dead. Yeah, for beginner, yes.
Someone that's respectable, the same sex.
Yes.
Then the following that it can be family member.
Can be family member, someone who is dear, okay, and then we can send loving kindness. But once you're very proficient, you have deep concentration, and your love is unconditional, then anyone is okay.
Then how about those who pass away?
Pass away because you do not know where they are reborn. You don't have their image. You don't have how do they look like. Only a photograph. There is no being there. You can send very generally, but you will not have deep concentration because there's no being.
Okay, thank you.
One last question. Can you explain why this Brahmavihara cannot get you to become enlightened?
Sorry, again?
Cannot be enlightened. That means you
can.
How to Arahant, all the way to Arahant?
Yes, possible.
Oh, okay.
How does it work? If you practice Brahmavihara until deep concentration means excess or higher. Basically, the criteria is the 5 hindrances are not there. So the mind is completely objective and sharp like a microscope. we can use that mind to observe everything. Okay? You'll see that there are certain things are called concepts, nothing to observe. It's just conjured by perceptions, conjured by culture, conjured by theories. Those are concepts. But once you remove the concept and just use the mind to observe things, you find that there are living beings and non-living things. Non-living things, it is just earth, water, fire, and wind. Living things, there is earth, water, and fire, and wind, and there is a mind. And the mind has this thing you feel, oh, that is feeling. Okay? It's either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And there is a perception, which is a kind of labeling. And then it has got this energetic component to it, which is the will. And there is this awareness. And all of this comes like a stream. Arise, pass away, like that. Then you can see all things that are non-living and there's living. And this living is just these 5 aggregates only. And then when you explore what is the cause of this, then you realize that the 4 elements cause one another. And this mind is dependent on these 4 elements, this matter. And this matter is dependent on the mind. And the matter has got 4 kinds, different kinds. Where does this all come from? When you trace back, it is born already with this mind and matter. And the cause of it is due to karma. And the karma is related to deeds done in the past, primarily driven by that mental thing called chaitana. And it's driven by ignorance and attachment and clinging and so on. Then you start to see, what's the cause of this is that, what's the cause of that is that. Then you start to see dependent origination as 5 aggregates from the past, 5 aggregates in the present, and in the future, you just project, you can also see 5 aggregates due to the causes in the present. Then you see all these ultimate realities are just like fountains, like fire, like dreams, arise and pass away immediately. And then you start to understand what is the true meaning of 5 aggregates and their causes are impermanent, always oppressed by impermanent, and you understand dukkha is not just a mere emotion, dukkha is a reality. And then you see nothing is worth regarding as a self or mind or anything, then you feel really, really cool. You feel really cool because you seem to be awakened. Okay? So, metta can lead to this.
Yeah, thank you.
No more questions? And shall we say sadhu 3 times?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. Okay, we would like to dedicate merits and requests for blessings. So we'd like to dedicate merits to Madam Lim Nyok Fa, who passed away on the 5th of April 2023. Okay, let us just chant. Idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. End of service dedication. I dedicate the merits which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the merits to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never part from the triple gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment. closing homage, let us pay respects to the Triple Gem. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami.